It's going good. How's it going with you?
It's going good as well over here. It's good to hear that you're in a good mood too.
Yeah, no, things are nice. It's been fun so far.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna start off with the intro, then I'm gonna have you introduce yourself. Ready?
Okay, sounds great.
Yo, what's up, beautiful people? It's your man over Mustang, and you're tuning into Origins, your friendly local hub podcast show. Today we got a killer interview lineup that's going to blow your mind. We're diving deep into the world of music, culture, and creativity. With the guest was about to drop some serious wisdom, so get ready to vibe with us because we're about to bring the heat, celebrating celebrating the groove and excellence of the power of music. Stay locked in. It's about to get real. But
That was a good intro.
appreciate it. Much love. Go ahead and introduce
Yee. Hi, my name is Sohomski. I am a singer-songwriter. I guess my most consistent style would just be indie. I've done a lot of stuff though, funk and bossa nova, Hawaiian music. I'm working on a lot of new stuff that I'm really excited to dish out. I have been experimenting a lot with more Croatian style music because that is where I
yourself.
reside from, and I've been trying to connect with that, like my roots. And so it's been really cool,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been working real hard.
Shout out to that. And what inspired you? Was this like a recent, you know, what do you want to call it, drive of yours to connect to your roots, or was this always there?
I would say so. I feel like I've always been trying to like find what I wanted to connect to, like what was really something that I felt I was deeply connected to, like not just on like a level of appreciation or enthusiasm, but something that I really feel like I could, you know, encapsulate into like who I am. And for a while, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was kind of lost with how I was going to go about the music world and what I was planning to do. But recently, like I don't know, about a year ago ish, I kind of recognized like the important things to connect to are where you're from and like what you've learned from and who raised you and how. And so I wanted to connect back with like my mother's side because my mom's last name is Sohomski, and she gave me her last name as my first name as like a way to sort of continue her lineage. And so then I decided to sort of take that up as my like stage name, um, sort of as a way to honor her, but also to connect like further back to my roots. And so
Mm.
this has sort of been a thing that's been ignited as of recently. But it's been really nice to follow it, and I felt really good, like as I've sort of progressed through this sort of journey, I suppose, if if that's the best way to call it. But yeah, it's not always been there, but now that it is here, it feels like it should have been for quite some time. So I'm really glad that I'm following this path, and it's been really nice. I'm getting a lot of support, so I'm very happy with the decisions I've made as of recent.
Shout out to you and your mom.
Mm.
Um, and what's your mom thoughts? Have your mom gotten a chance to listen to your music?
Oh yeah, no, she's actually really happy about it. Just because she originally was like a poet. That's what she wanted to be
Mm,
during her college years, and that was like a deep passion of hers was to be connected to the arts. And then as her life progressed and she became a mother, that was her main focus. And so like there was kind of this level of joy that was brought through me from her of like she told me like she was really happy to see that I could live a life that she wanted to like through her like as this like parent who has taught me so much about like art and expression and emotion. She's really proud of me in like kind of this strange way of like, oh, like I always wanted to do this and I always wanted to live a life of the arts. And so like her seeing me do that, and especially like rep her name and like, continue that lineage of like my Slavic ancestry and like connecting back to my roots. It's been very cool for her, and she's really supportive. So I've been very happy about that.
Shout out to her. And do she have a favorite song out of your catalog?
Ooh, favorite song. I mean, she likes a lot of them. If I had to choose a favorite, hmm, I think she's been really liking my newer stuff. I've been experimenting with like Hawaiian inspirations because that was a big
Mm,
part of my childhood as well. And so I came out with a new song. It's called Gospa More, which means Lady Sea, and it's like a song about the ocean. And it's really pretty. It's kind of short, but it's a very like relaxing tune. And she's played it a handful of times and talked about how nice it is. So I would say currently that one.
okay. And this song, is it released on all platforms or?
Yeah, it's streamable on Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, iTunes, all that stuff.
And what was the
I
name of it again?
It's Gospa More, so Gospamore. Um, and it should be just by Sohomski. I mean, it's like I currently have like three songs out under the new name, so it's pretty easy to find if you just look up Sohomski. But yeah, so that's the name of that one.
Okay. So for your YouTube channel, wait, how many YouTube channels do you got?
Oh, I just have I mean, I guess because there is the YouTube music channel that
Mm,
like because I go through DistroKid, so they made a account on YouTube Music for me, but then I also have my own like personal YouTube account, which has like more of my older stuff.
okay.
But you
So
can find it on both, I'm pretty sure.
I think check out your personal YouTube. I don't think I
Mm.
saw the other one because I didn't see that song.
Oh,
Um,
dang.
but the other stuff that I was listening to, I'm guessing is your older music.
Yeah.
Like such as like Red Glasses. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
okay. And how you go by releasing music?
Well, I work with my friend and producer Danny Outro. He's also cool. Shout out to him. He has like a website and stuff. If you wanted to check that out, it's just
Mm,
dannyoutro.com. So I'm sure he would appreciate me giving him the shout out. But I
mm-hmm.
mainly work with him. I've worked with other producers as well, but the general process, I guess, is finding an inspiration. Every song that I make has to connect to something important to me. I don't make music if it's just for no reason. Um, and no shade to people who just make music for fun. I think music can be really fun. But I feel like my brand and how I go about things, it really does matter that the music matters to me. So first, I gotta care. But yeah, then it's just about, finding the progressions, connecting lyrics to it, making sure that the feeling is right. And then from that point, it's just producing and making sure everything sounds good and polishing it up. And then, as I previously said, I use DistroKid. I think it's great. I think it's a really nice publishing company for independent artists. I think it's really important to find businesses or just individuals that are tuned to helping independent artists. I feel like that's a really important part of like learning how to work through the industry and that kind of stuff.
Okay. And for the friend that you mentioned with the website, I'm guessing that's tied to, booking him as a producer.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he does a handful of different production plans and like he has like a whole list of like a menu of different ways to select it.
Okay.
Um, it's pretty cool.
Okay. And bringing this back to your music, I'm curious. What is the how you go about releasing? Are you active monthly, once a week?
For what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to kind of do a waterfall release of my most recent album.
Mm,
So basically, ideally, I'm trying to do one song a month. Currently, this October, I'm trying to like hunker down and work on a couple songs at once throughout the month. So I'm not releasing anything in October. But then November, I will be releasing a song. And then December, I'm kind of doing the same thing I'm doing this month. And so like it's sort of kind of a mixture of like I'll release two songs a month and then I'll take a break and then like one song a month and I'll try to keep that, momentum going.
And your catalog so far, uh, how many songs do you have out at the moment?
Currently for the album I'm working on, I have the three. So it's I released one in August and then two in September. And I wanted to release
Mm,
two so I could kind of have October to take a little breather. But counting my old songs, oh my God, like at least somewhere from like 7 to 12. I've been
okay.
trying to kind of do a little bit of a rebrand, and so a few of my songs are sort of, going to the wayside. I'm gonna try to do like a nostalgia album where I bring back a lot of the old stuff I like to work on because I know that a large portion of my fan base did start when I was like early on, and so I kind of want to bring those songs back as like an homage to where I've come from. So that's for
No.
the future.
Okay, shout out to that. And when it comes to, uh, and you said you're working on a single, a couple singles or an EP.
I'm sort of working on an album. Like it's basically the way that it works is instead of it being an album that you release all out at once, it's an
Mm,
album that you gradually add to. And so like it helps with just like the freedom of being able to not have everything done all together at once. And also like if I want to change things, I can. But so like
okay.
over time, like by the hopefully around like April of next year, I'm gonna have the album complete because of the like how I have it all planned out. And then it'll be like
Mm.
one big album, but each song is being like slowly added to it.
And how you go by the cap?
By the cap,
Yeah, like how you know, like, all right, this album have enough songs. Do you already plan it out?
I have
Like
like a
before you go busy?
loose organization of it. That's a good question.
No.
It is hard to know exactly when an album is done. Um, But I went for like a solid, I think I went for 12. Like I liked that number and I was like, okay, that seems like a good place to start. And then I wanted to make sure that like the general like feeling that I wanted to give across was coming through. And so if I need to add more songs to that, I can. If I need to take songs off, I can. Um, but I made sort of like a loose structure of like I had all the songs in my head of like how I wanted to make them and what I wanted them to sound like so I could line them all up and then just sort of did like a roster kind of situation. And
Mm.
like even since then I have changed it around and like swapped certain songs for other songs. But for the most part the structure has like stayed relatively secure, I guess. But it's been a nice like way to sort of plan it out because I don't feel like lost in the sauce of like trying to figure out where to go with it. So I kind of have an idea and like a platform to put my feet on. But yeah,
Okay. And I'm curious how you go by like, structuring. Well, before I ask that, I'm also curious, was this the first time you tried this strategy?
yes, this was.
Okay.
I was in a like because I just this year I just graduated from PCC as like a music business and entrepreneurship kind of situation, and
Congratulations.
so I was studying a lot and taking a lot of classes, and that's when I learned about the waterfall release. And so then one of my plans when I was done with school was to test it out and be like, oh hey, let's see if this actually works. So this is the first time that I've done it, and I actually like it a lot.
Okay. Okay. So I was also curious, what inspires strategy, but this is something that you learned when you was in college, correct?
Yeah, yeah, no, that was it
Okay.
was part of like there was a class seminar where we got to meet this guy who was like in the marketing industry. It was sort
Mm,
of yeah, it was a seminar, I guess the best way to put it. But yeah, so I learned it from like my class basically.
okay. That's what's up. You put in your knowledge to use. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. And before that, how was you, going by the structure of, because correct me if I'm wrong, you released an album before that,
Yes, I did. Earlier, I guess before I had like a more in-depth idea of how I wanted to go about things. I wanted to release a album just because I felt like that was the right thing to do. I had a bunch of songs that I put together, and like I had just only uploaded them on YouTube, and it seemed like people liked them. So I basically compiled like all of the songs that I made like when I was in like high school, kind of slash early college, and compiled them together into like an album, and it was cohesive because the genre that I was going for was all the same, and so it was sort of just happenstance, but it ended up seeming pretty organized, which was really nice. But after that point, I recognize like especially when you're starting off, like making an album is such a heavy job. Like there's so much to do and so much to organize, and especially starting off small, it's not always the best thing to put your time into. And so I just started releasing like small singles every once in a while. And then it helped with just traction and being able to mix things up and experiment with new stuff. Because, without that sort of freedom to figure out what you're good at and just only focusing on albums, it feels a little restrictive, especially as like a starting off independent artist. So eventually I just
No.
started doing singles.
Okay. And I'm curious how you go by marketing and promotion.
Marketing mobily, you said?
Marketing and promotion.
I think that it is the most important thing. I think that probably the only reason that I have the following that I do, which is not giant, but I'm very appreciative of it, is because of the time and care that I've put into like how I see myself and how I want to project and, you know, be with other people. Um, I remember one of the first things that I did was make a like dinky little business card um, for college, and I would give it out, and it looked really dumb, and it just had like a QR code on the back. But people were interested in it, and they were like, "Oh, like a musician with a business card. That's kind of interesting." And I was the only person doing it, and so it ended up being like kind of lucrative because if I really wanted to have someone see my stuff, but I didn't have a lot of time to show them anything, or it was just in passing, I could, hand them a little card and that was it. And from that point, I sort of recognized the value of like marketing and promotion and working in that light. So a lot of my time since then has been spent marketing and promoting and stuff. Like I'm gonna work later today on another promo video for some of my newer stuff. So I think it's something you really gotta put some focus into.
No, no. And and the music that you just released, that wouldn't have been part of the album that you was talking about,
Oh yeah, so
correct?
the
Oh, that's
the
promotion.
stuff that I'm working on right now, the three songs under Sohomski that have been like released recently are going to be a part of the grand scheme. So over time, like through DistroKid, I can just sort of add the songs that I've released now into the album I'm making, and so then over time it just kind of gets bigger and bigger into like the final compilation of it near the end.
No. And for this, so for the three songs that you released, is going to be part of that album.
Yeah.
No. And they all released at the moment.
Yes, the three songs that I have out currently that are a part of the album are they're all streaming under the same platforms and stuff. I think the only place that I don't have them on is SoundCloud. But I've been trying to find time to put that out there. I don't have like a huge audience over there, so
Mm.
it's not like my top priority. But if people want it, I'm fine to do it.
So for the three songs, what's the name of the three songs? That
So the first one that I released was called Venus, like the planet, and that was sort of like a lo-fi beat. It was something a little. a little different to my usual style, but I really liked the chord progression and like the emotion behind the song. It was pertaining to sort of the connection that you have with your childhood as you grow up and trying to find a way to stay connected to it without sort of losing that part of yourself. And then the second two songs that I released together were Gospamore, which I talked about earlier, and then another song called Treasure, which was sort of a bossa nova piece. And that was supposed to be sort of it's like a cuter little tune. It's a little more poppy. But it was about trying to find your purpose in life and like focusing on being happy with what you're doing and knowing what you're doing is what you should be doing. And in that is sort of like a treasure, the value of that.
No, and listen to your music. I listened to about 10 songs.
Mm.
Out of the 10, I have about one, two, 4 songs out of 10 that stand out to me. Black Magic, Look Good, Bittersweet, and is it pronounced Katarina?
Yeah, yeah, Katarina. Wow, yeah, those are all. Oh, wow, those are like my top four picks out of my older music.
Okay. And
What stood out about them?
um, for Black Magic, it was giving me off this funk vibe that I haven't heard in a minute. Kind of remind me of like the 70s, uh, what do you call it? The disco era.
Mm,
Uh, and I mean, honestly, the whole vibe of it, just kind of giving that disco era type vibe. Uh, feeling sexy, talking your shit. Uh, you come off as a ladies' man on that
Thank you.
song. Look Good and Bittersweet. I think for Look Good, I think I mostly like the journey of the song, and then for Bittersweet, um, I like the vibe of it. Both of them was entertaining, especially like noticing there was this is your oldest work.
Hmm.
I noticed that it's 4 years. Um, the difference between listening to like your older music to like your new stuff. Um, Noticed there was like 4 years different, and I was like, I can already tell there was a bit of a difference. You grow with your voice, your vocals. Um,
Hmm.
and I would say listen to your older music. It was more raw in the moment, experimental, and heavy on instruments. Uh, I noticed that you have like certain instruments playing in the background and everything. It was very lively, I
Hmm. Thank you.
would say. And is it how you pronounce it again? Katarina.
Yeah, Katarina.
Katarina. Uh, for that one, actually, it's a mix between that song and Red Glasses. Um, I enjoy it. Just being the first time listener, I have to listen more to collect my thoughts on it. But those two, it's growing up. I was.
Mm.
But I'm curious for you, for Black Magic, how that song came to be.
Oh, I actually I love the story behind it. So basically what happened was I was working on Red Glasses with Danny. Um, and we were supposed to be doing like this, production day. I was gonna bring because I had started producing Red Glasses over like winter break or something, and I wanted to bring it to him so that we could take the project and make it better. But basically, what happened was I forgot to bring the right hard drive, and so I just came there with nothing. And we ended up making
Mm,
Black Magic like this whole funky beat because he really liked the bass line of Red Glasses, and he was like, "Oh, like it gives this funky vibe," because he had heard the song before. It's just that we didn't have the project. And so he's like, I love the funky bass that comes from this. Like, since we have nothing else to do, did you want to try to make like a funky song? And I was like, sure, why not? And so then we started making what ended up being Black Magic, and both of him and I like fell in love with it. Um, and so then I made the lyrics are pertaining to my lovely girlfriend, and how much I am infatuated with
Mm,
her. And so it was kind of like me trying to be like this, finessey sort of charismatic guy, um, who like saw her at the club and being like, "Oh, whoa, like you look so pretty and
mm,
stuff." But it was
mm,
just like a fun song. We had fun making it. We had fun writing it. And it was just one of those like carefree, like, like I think you're sexy and we should dance. Like it's one of those kind of songs. But we spent a lot of time curating it. It went through a lot of phases, and we polished that thing like crazy. But it was a really good time. I loved making it. I loved being a part of it, and it felt really cool because I had never made a funk
mm.
song before, but I had always wanted to like try that out. And it ended up
Okay.
being a really cool song.
So I'm guessing, uh, for you, 'cause you mentioned earlier you don't typically make music just for fun. But hearing the beginning of it, sounded like a bit of it uh was till I heard the part that you was talking about your girlfriend. So I guess that's what's the meaning part of the song for you.
Yeah, I think there was a level of um like carefreeness to it where like I didn't inherently like I wasn't invested. I was more just doing it for shits and giggles. But I feel like eventually over time it kind of grew on me, especially like once I connected it to like this sort of like experience of passion. And I feel like that in a way in itself is sort of paradoxical because I want to make things matter to me, but then at the same time, like sometimes making a song just for fun is what matters. Um,
Mm.
and so I think it's just kind of finding like that wonderful like in between of like having fun with a song and like enjoying making it, but then also having it be important to you. And
Okay.
I feel like Black Magic was definitely riding that line perfectly because it was just goofy and fun to make at first, and then over time it really turned into like a passion project.
No. Um, and I'm also curious as well. Do you have any siblings as well?
Yeah, I have an older sister.
No. Just y'all two?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's just me and my sister.
No. Okay. Um, understood. Uh, and I'm curious. Uh, you did bring up a little bit that your music was, uh, or correct me if I'm wrong, but do you consider your music more indie?
Yeah, I
What
would say
genre would you
so.
put it in?
I feel like finding my exact genre has been kind of part of the ride. Um, I recently like kind of while I was working on my brand, I made up this fake genre sort of. It's just called Indie Islander, where it's indie inspiration, but it also takes notes from like, bossa nova, Hawaiian music, samba, that kind of stuff, and it brings this sort of coastal feeling to it, and
Mm.
not everything exactly falls perfectly into that category, but I feel like it's a really good way of sort of funneling the majority of my songs into one area. Um,
And what do you call that genre?
oh, Indie Islander.
Indie. I would definitely say, well, one, you know, it it's make up to people believe it. So, it's up to you to make people believe it. We definitely
Hmm.
have an opportunity to grow and, make more genres. So that's not too far out. Especially if you're providing something that other people can't make. So like, for example, if you gather yourself or other similar artists within that genre, yeah, make it pop. Or even if you carry on your own, you will open up that door sooner or later, making that a possibility. even starting off making that playlist.
Hmm.
Um, I've definitely said you probably definitely want to capitalize on that before Island Boys
Yeah,
decide to take
yeah, yeah. That would be an interesting competition to have.
that. Okay. And I'm curious when it comes to talent. Uh, what talent are you looking to collaborate with, connect with?
Oh,
Any,
like
any,
other artists?
uh, artists. So, like for example, the reason why I asked this question, I'm bringing various of different talents. So, anybody can listen to this, a producer, a YouTube reactor, you name it. So, if you put that out there, anybody listening to this podcast, they can be like, oh shit, he's looking for me. Um,
Ah, I got you. I got you.
mhm,
Um, All right. Well, I mean, I love working with other producers. I'm a huge fan of doing because I've done like group album or like group EP releases where it'll be like a bunch of different artists coming together. I always think
mhm,
that's really fun. I like collaborating with people. I feel like that can be really cool just to spark up like new inspirations and creativity. Um,
oh,
I've always loved like animated music videos. I feel like that's really
mhm,
creative when people like this is like really random and super niche, but I'm forgetting it off the top of my head, but there was a Britney Spears song where it was like an anime and it was like a
mhm.
whole like choreo, like it was very well animated. It was kind of strange. It had like this weird plot to it. But I've always kind of been obsessed with the idea of like making small, like cinematic, like movies or cute animations or cartoons that go along with songs because I feel like it gives such a character to it. Um, so honestly, like any kind of talents, like dancing, animation, drawings, cartoons, even like live stuff like photography and filming. Like I think that it's such a wonderful opportunity to work with other artists from different fields to create things together.
No, but I like where your head is at.
Thanks.
Um, no problem. So we have some interesting collaboration that you might find interesting, especially, naming some of your interests. Uh, our first one, shout out to One Nation. They create their own manga slash comic book series. So if you're
Ooh,
looking to collaborate with somebody within that field, we have somebody that we can recommend.
sick.
Next one, shout out to Jet Production. They make short action looking to collaborate with artists, not just using your music as soundtracks, but also help y'all create an action music video as well.
Heck yeah, dude.
Our next
That's
one
cool.
is shout out to Mason Ladder. He's a 2D animator, so anything around digital arts is a specialty. So he's especially looking for someone to create your logo, animated music video. Uh, we have somebody that can recommend on that as well.
Hell yeah.
And our last one, bonus one, Black God's comic. Uh, Not only he got his own comic book, he's a freelancer, a battle rapper, and artist. So if you're looking for
Ooh.
multi-talented, um, somebody within that area, we definitely have somebody to
Sweet. Yeah. I'd love for you to like send me the different names and stuff so I can look them up. That'd be really
recommend.
cool.
I got you. I got you after the podcast. No problem. That's what we do. We
Yeesh.
connect talents. And I also heard that you also find like working with other artists interesting uh, mix to get yourself involved with. We also recently we started up our own music label where we gather talents to come together and make music around themes and challenges. So if you're interested in that, I would definitely keep you up to date
Yeah, dude. I'd love to hear about it. That sounds cool.
on that. Okay. Bringing this back to you. Uh, so you are looking for animators, you're looking for artists, producers, uh, photographers. So basically, all around the entertainment field.
Yeah, I'm always up for networking with any kind of artist. I think it's really cool to meet new people.
Okay. And what is the best way to reach out
Ooh, I would say probably, I mean, similarly to the way that you did actually, like just a DM on Instagram or TikTok. I mean, yeah, I have a Gmail as well. It's Sohomski.wave at
to?
Gmail, like
Hmm.
dot WAV at gmail.com. If anybody wants to email me, I check that less frequently. But honestly, yeah, just like a DM on one of my social medias is usually the best way to get a hold of me. I
Okay.
like to, make sure that I check my requests and see who's trying to get a hold of me on Instagram and TikTok like pretty frequently. So I would say that's be the best.
Okay. Bringing up the next song, "Look Good." Tell us about it. How that song came to
Oh, geez. Well, that was the first one I ever made. It it was kind of like a shot in the dark. I barely knew how to play the guitar at the time. I picked it up like a little bit. I had learned how to play like once or twice, but never like taught. I always just sort of looked up the chords and how to play things. Um, but my girlfriend at the time was talking about how I should really like pursue music stuff because that was when I was still iffy about it. I didn't really know where my career was going to go or what I was going to do. I mean, I don't even think I was in college yet. So
you.
that summer, um, before really anything started in my music life, I guess, I put together a couple chords on the guitar and I talked about, I don't know, just how I felt and what I wanted to be. And like it's called Look Good because like it's partially a love song, but it's also like a song about like how I feel about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so Look Good, the whole primary like point of the story is like I wanted to do a good job and I wanted to like be cool for people and I wanted to make things that people liked. And I wanted to be loved. And so I made that song, and a lot of people seem to really like it. And that's sort of what kicked everything off. And ever since then, I've sort of been appreciating that first song and working towards just making stuff that's even better, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious as well when it comes to your music so far. How have you grown and evolved from your perspective?
Mm. I think I have done a crazy amount of improvement. I was not confident in singing when I started. I wasn't really that confident in production either. I mean, I had been using GarageBand ever since I could walk, but it was trying to transition into that like professional environment that was kind of scary to me. But I think that over time and like all the work that I put in, especially again, like shout out to Pasadena City College, they really showed me how to do stuff. But I feel like I've improved in basically every way, like singing, production, just understanding music, lyricism. Like I just feel like every time that I make a new song, it's better than the last, and I really enjoy that feeling because you know there's sort of like this bittersweetness of like when you look back at a song and you think you could do better, just because you always wanna like you're like oh like this could have been mixed better or that high note could have been a little less flat but at the same time, I kind of appreciate being able to see that because that means that now, the next time I make a song, it's going to be better than the last. And I'll always want to feel like I'm taking it to the next level. So I think in
Mm-hmm.
general, like every possible way that I could have improved since I started is how I've done. And I really like that. It's been a good feeling.
Shout out to that. And and I'm curious as well. Um, have you gotten a chance to perform live?
I have. I was actually graced with the opportunity at my school, they did sort of this student-led concert. It was called like a singer-songwriter night where basically anybody from the school who had a musical bone in their body and wanted to sing on stage could audition, and like we went through this whole process of like choosing who could be where and like the lineup and the roster. And I actually got to close, which was really cool. I felt very honored. Um, but I made a song for that class, and I still haven't released it yet. I'm planning to. It's going to be on the album that I'm working on right now. But yeah, it's it's on YouTube somewhere. But
Mm,
no, it was really nice. I kind of got addicted to it. It was a really special feeling to be able to perform live, and I'm trying to get into an environment where I can do something like that again.
okay. And when you was performing live, what songs out of your catalog did you get a chance to perform?
I just performed one. It was a song called Planina Town. Planina in Croatian means mountain, and it was a song about my childhood. I grew up in Northern California. Sort of like, do you know where Santa Cruz is?
No, but tell me about
Okay. It's a coastal city. It's kind of near the Monterey area.
it.
Um,
Okay.
but anyways, there's like a big old mountain range just north of that big city. It's very rural. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but I grew up there, and I'd spent my whole like childhood up to going to college living in that little town. And so it was such a beautiful place to live, and like I felt so deeply drawn to it. And so I wanted to make a song that really connected me back to that, because I feel like, especially in such a big city like LA, where I live now,
Mm,
it's hard to reconnect with like that nature, like, rural side of things. And so that felt really
mm,
special to me, and I wanted to sing, and people really liked it. I had a lot of fun working with the band. I had to get together a bunch of folks to, do like guitar and piano pieces, but it was a great time. It was a really good time.
shout out to that. And the town that you from, what was the population like?
Oh, it's a little town called Boulder Creek. Its population was like, it's like 4,000 people, I think. Um,
Mm,
and they're spread out across like this huge valley. So like, you have neighbors and stuff, but it's not like they're right next door. You kind of have to walk a little ways away.
okay.
But yeah, no, it was one of those towns where it's like small enough to where you could really start to know everybody. Like, I know people who worked at the grocery stores, and like, I could see my teachers like walking down like the main street and stuff, and everybody would wave at each other. It was like a very cute little like community that I grew up
Okay.
in.
Okay. So because of that experience, uh, that's something that you long for.
Yeah, I think there is a part of me that deeply misses that, especially living in LA. It's such a intense and fast moving city, and like everybody's up until 3 a.m., and the highway's always busy. There's never a time where there isn't traffic, and everybody's got somewhere to be, something to do, and money to make. And sometimes there's a part of me that really does miss that, like, middle of nowhere, like, taking naps on a hill on a field, and
Mm,
you know it's a special feeling, that kind of tranquility that comes from being out so far away from everything. And so yeah, there's a part of me that really misses it.
okay. And will you ever go back? Or
Oh, 100%. I visit there all the time. When I was when I was more homesick, I've been doing better recently, but in like the first few years of living down here in LA, I would actually drive all the way back up there. It would take like 6 hours. But I would go up there just for like a couple days or a week, um, just to sort of, you know, get a little dose of childhood home, see some of my friends again, like say hi to my mom and my dad. So yeah, I definitely made time to go back. I feel like as of recently, I've sort of accepted that maybe my new life is starting here. And, the visits have slowed down a little bit, but I always hold a special place in my heart for that place.
And I was also curious, like, as far as like, will you move back there? Like, would it ever?
Oh, like would I move back there?
Mm,
Ooh, maybe.
no.
I've thought about it. I mean, it's kind of one of those difficult questions where it's like, well, you know, the opportunities that come from living in LA are immeasurable. And so living
Mm,
down here really is an advantage. But I don't know, maybe in my later years when I'm old and cranky and,
mm,
you know, I have like a cane or something, then yeah, I'd
mm,
probably move back up there. Um,
no.
but yeah, I'm unsure.
Okay. And my last question when it comes to town, was the population mostly of like young, middle age,
Oh, it
older
was a lot of
population?
old people. It was
Ah,
it was a lot of adults. I was always
okay.
surrounded by adults. There was an elementary school in the town, and so like there was like enough kids to you know warrant that. Um, but the biggest like group, I guess, like or archetype was people who wanted to be away from it all, and like folks who had like worked real hard to just kind of get out there and be to their own devices. And so it was a very private place. Like there was always kind of this feeling of maturity to it. But there were moments where like we got to have our fun. Like there would be Halloween events, and all the kids would come out, and I would meet a bunch of kids who would end up being lifelong friends that were down the street or a mile away. But it was always kind of like scattered. The child, like
Mm,
the children of the area were kind of everywhere, and since it was such a small population and such a big area, it was always kind of hard to find everybody.
mm, okay. And when it comes to what was your deciding factor to, move to LA?
I think I recognized that I needed to take a leap of faith. I think that this was the start of my journey and, recognizing that I needed to put myself in a place I wasn't familiar with, like get out of your comfort zone. Um, Specifically, Pasadena City College had like really good programs for commercial music and like learning production, and it seemed like a really good place to go. So that was helpful with the motivation, but it mainly just came from a place of recognizing that I needed to do something that would kind of push me into doing better, bigger, and better things. Um,
No.
but yeah, I mean, funny enough, I actually did not like the idea of living in LA for a while.
Mm,
Because it's such a culture shock. It's different, completely different from what I grew up in. So, it's really weird to kind of shift into this life. But I found my way and I made it work.
mm. No, that's understandable. And I'm curious, was there any other place you was thinking setting your foot upon, or did you already knew LA was the place to go?
I feel like for music, it really was LA. I'd heard all the stories of like all the music nights and cafes that had live shows, and it just seemed like the best place to go. And I was pretty set on that. Seemed maybe New York, but that one was like
Mm.
way not my vibe. That's like okay, I can handle big city, but not on the other side of the country.
Mm. Okay. No, that's understandable.
Mm.
And next song I got, Moving On. How that song?
Mm. Um, Man, moving on. That was also early on. You were asking about like what the like process of that was?
Yeah, how the song came to be. from your.
Um, that was very much a summer song. It was sort of birthed from the feelings of hanging out with my friends in the middle of nowhere. Because, it is great to live so far from all the chaos of the city, but at the same time, it can kind of get boring. So, especially in your high school years, you got to get your buddies together and get in a car and go somewhere interesting. And so,
Mm-hmm.
moving on was very much, it was very much a song about choosing to not be bored, like choosing to do something with your life. And because I had done that so frequently in my childhood, it felt very natural to make a song about it. Because, when I was a kid and I would go drive around with my buddies, like that was in a way like metaphorically taking ourselves out of our comfort zone to have a good time. And so I feel like moving on was sort of this interesting like mixture of like it's a metaphor and a figure of speech, but at the same time, it is really kind of what you got to do is get up, go somewhere.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Okay. And coming near the end, to update you, like I said, this one would be a free trial. But if you like to come back, there will be a fee. But we would do a ranking out your catalog. So,
Mm,
we'll rank every music that you have out, in our order of being a listener, and we would discuss it with you like we would do on here. Um, and earlier you said you looking for more opportunities to perform. Funny enough, uh, funny enough, we started to do those that subscribe to our platform. I'm not sure you know about Tiny Desk.
mm. I don't think I
You ever
do.
heard of it? It's where people will perform at like an office or some shit.
Oh,
But anyway, not to get too lost. But those that subscribe, uh, our version of the Tiny Desk is solo recording. So you record yourself uh, performing your music, or if you just want to solely like have your music be play on our platforms, those some of the benefits that comes with subscribing to our platform.
cool.
So you
Okay.
basically can create your own advertising platform.
Yeah, that's sick. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd love to. I'll definitely check a look at that. I mean, again, as I was saying earlier, like marketing and promotion is a very big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd love to, similar with the other stuff, like give me some more information and stuff like after the podcast.
Okay. Okay. Um, and let me see. We can end it off with Katarina.
Hmm.
Tell us how that song
Hmm. Um, so Katarina that was the first, yes, that was the first Croatian song I made. That was sort of the beginning of me sort of switching over into this more Croatian inspired like musical style. Um, it was when I was sort of experimenting first with jazz and bossa nova and trying to really allow myself to experiment with a new genre. Um, Katarina is about the spice of finding someone that you truly are into, that you never really thought you could be as into this person as you could. Um, Katarina, funny, the song, if I bet you could guess, is my girlfriend's name is Katrina. Haha.
is.
Katarina is the Croatian way of saying Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
But there were some really big moments in my life where romance and love was such a complicated and chaotic and messy thing, and I had never felt the specific way that I did about the girlfriend that I like so much. And so I wrote about it. And I wanted to, I don't know why, but I was motivated to write about it in Croatian because it felt right. And it became like this poetic, like love letter that I made, and I would like practice it because in PCC there's like practice rooms below, like in
Mm.
like this lower level of the building, and there's like a bunch of pianos in like soundproof rooms, and so when I had like off time, like in between classes, I would go down there, and I would just put together these beautiful chords that sounded all fancy and stuff. And I would just sing about it, and I would write this strange and really pretty poem about how obsessed I was with this woman. And it ended up being like one of my favorite pieces. And I actually produced the whole thing myself. I mixed and mastered it and arranged it all. And I want to kind of redo that song and put it on my most recent album because I was really obsessed with like doing it myself, and I wanted to be all like, yeah, I produced this and did it all. And and now I kind of want to improve it and polish it up a little bit, make it a little more like big picture. Um,
Mm.
but no, it came from this place of like a need to say it the way I did and express that feeling. And it was such an explosive feeling. And you know, you said it because you heard the song at the beginning, like before the chorus like starts off, and at the end of the pre-chorus, there's always this big like explosive kind of build up to the final like chorus. And I feel like that was such an important feeling to put into the song because it was this level of like shouting out into the distance. And I remember when I was finalizing the lyrics and how I wanted it to feel, I was imagining like a sailor like coming home from a long voyage and like seeing his wife out in the distance on the dock and like singing to her and like calling out her name as like this declaration of love. And I felt like that was so powerful, and I really wanted that song to sort of encapsulate this feeling of like proclamation and like I like declare these feelings, you know, screaming it on the top of a skyscraper or whatever. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, no, I loved making that song. And I felt very proud of myself that I was able to do it all on my own.
Okay. Shout out. And so since you produced on that song, do you produce like was that the only song you produced, or are you start to do more producing, or?
No, I've produced on most of my songs. I think that as I have in like developed my best most efficient way of making music, I like to sort of produce a sort of a structural format of how I want the song to be, like with chord progressions and with relatively specific instruments. And then I'll take that to my producer and I'll be like, hey, this is the vision, this is the vibe, let's like really put our heads down on this and see what we can make out of it. um, because I truly love producing, and I've produced, I don't know, probably 80% of the songs that I've made. But especially as of recently, I've recognized that like, you know, delegating the effort and like trying to find ways to, you know, give yourself some breathing room is really important. And so I've slowly started to sort of bridge more into focusing on the creative side and the theory behind the songs, and then allowing my producer to be a little more heavy on the responsibility, I guess, of producing. But it's been really great, and working with him has been a really nice time, and I've always felt really connected, like on the same wavelength with him. So it's made it really easy to sort of hand that torch over. But I still do produce a lot, and you know, I always like to keep my production chops going. So
Mm.
I'm never not producing. It's just nice to sort of give that job to someone who is better than me and can do a better job.
Okay. Shout out to you. It was definitely great to have you as a special guest and checking out, uh, well, most of them happen to be your older music, but it was still a journey. I definitely
Hmm.
enjoyed it, um, especially like Black Magic, um, Katarina,
Hmm.
Red Glasses, Look Good, Bittersweet. Um, it was a journey. It was
Hmm.
a journey from listening to your music, your catalog, your experience, uh, your culture background, just all in one. I was able to gather a bit of that, and even checking out your YouTube as well. I see that you make some content on there. You was speaking on that you speak like multiple language. I think you point out five language that you speak.
Yeah, I do like I can like kind of speak a bunch like there's like ASL, which I guess I count. And then I can kind of speak Russian and I can speak Croatian pretty well. Um but yeah, no, I have a handful. I always like to try to learn new languages. It's a fun game, you know. Try to get into other like forms of thinking and creating ideas.
And even for the music that I can't necessarily understand, uh, Katarina, it was still enjoyable.
Mm,
The
thank you.
image was still there. For people that don't speak it, I think it's definitely entertaining. And I think you got a bit of some salsa, within your music as well. So I think it definitely get people to move, groove, dance, appreciate one another. Um, all around positive vibe. I'd say, comes to music.
Thank you.
No problem. It's well deserved. Before you go, shout out all your platforms. Shout out anybody that you want to put on, and then drop a song out your catalog.
Sure. I mean, I'm Sohomski on everything, basically. Sohomski. That's how you find me. YouTube, Instagram, I think even Twitter. Although I'm not on there often. um, I would also like to shout out Katrina Maynor. Along with being my awesome girlfriend, she also does her own music and is working on a lot
I
of new
knew it.
tunes as we speak. So
I was gonna
um,
ask, was she an artist as well?
yeah, that's why we met. We met at a mutual friend's like musical party get together. We didn't even know that we went to the same college, so that was really funny.
Mm.
But no, she's been a great help through my whole musical journey, and we've both been sort of inspiration and competition for each other, working together on a lot of stuff. And, it's always nice to see her improving and she loves to see me improving. So we kind of bounce off of each other's energy. So definitely check her out. She's also great. I'm pretty sure she's also just Katrina Maynor on all platforms,
No.
but she's working on a lot of new stuff and she's sort of trying to find her brand as well. So it's been really cool to see that production and there's a lot of cool new stuff coming up. So stay tuned.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, But then, yeah, I already did the shout out to Danny outro, but I'll do it again. He's cool, great producer. And then, hmm. Oh, and then shout out to my homeboy Duality. You can find him on Instagram, I believe. He's coming out with a new song. He's actually going to be at a performance, I believe, this weekend. But he's really cool. His name's D'Angelo Bolton. He's a hell of a guy, very cool independent artist, very experimental. Great voice, great mind. Love that dude. But yeah, I think those are my shout outs.
No problem. Shout out to them. And what song out of your catalog you want the audience to
The songs that I want my audience to listen to, or the audience to listen to, basically my new stuff. Venus, Gospamore, Treasure. I got some more stuff on the way. Um, I definitely feel like if you're wanting to see the vibe I'm planning to continue, those are the things to go for. I mean, also Black Magic and Red Glasses are undefeated classics. Everybody always likes those, and they're always a great time to listen to. But yeah, just listen to what makes you happy. Listen to what you enjoy listening to, and that's really all it is.
All right, shout out to you. This EP would be ready within a month. Send me a bottle pic for your uh podcast. And I'm gonna get your bio ready as soon as possible. Would you
Okay.
like this as a video or audio?
I'm fine with either. Whichever. I mean, I guess a video. I got my face on there, so hi.
Okay.
But yeah, that's fine.
All right. The only difference is video appears on YouTube. That's the only difference.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. That's cool.
No. All right, bet. Hey, it was great to have you on here. I'm definitely looking forward to your success.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. This was a really fun time.
No problem. That's what we do. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, you too, bro. All right, well,
Much love.
have a good rest of your day.
You too. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah. All right, bye bye.